I'm Jess.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are
the Iggy Parents! Welcome to episode 9. This is Top 5 Tips for Iggy Alone Time.
We discussed briefly the challenges of returning to work after self-isolation in our episode, Troubles in Quarantine. But let's dive deeper into the topic of separation anxiety and how we can help our pups adjust to being on their own again.
This episode is for anyone who struggles with leaving their dog alone. First of all, how do you know your pup is struggling with this? We've experienced some of these things, but also chatted with many Iggy friends about their experiences leaving their pups on their own.
Just as a disclaimer, we are not vets in any way. So if you think your pup is suffering from severe separation anxiety, always contact the vet.
Contact the vet. Talk to your vet. If any of these are severe or detrimental in any way to your pup's quality of life, there's always a chance that something else is wrong, and these are signs of something else going on, or that the separation anxiety is so severe that it needs medical attention or medical help.
We're calling this Iggy Alone Time because we're talking more about a situation that's not as severe, because that's where we have experience. We don't exactly know the ins and outs of true separation anxiety, so I just wanted to make that difference here. We're just talking about Iggy Alone Time and how we've experienced Adelaide being on her own. Here we go. Signs that your pup might be experiencing some difficulty with being alone. Vocal signs. Whining, barking, or howling, both when you are leaving and while you are away. Potentially becoming hoarse from the overuse of their voice. This is something that we've experienced and also have heard stories about, but any kind of vocal sounds could be a sign that your pup is struggling.
Destruction signs, either chewing their surroundings destructively or destroying anything around the house, could be a sign of boredom during alone time. We're going to talk more about how to deal with that as a separate thing from them not liking that you're away and them maybe having too much energy.
And we've got personal experience with that.
Oh, yeah.
Loss of hunger. If your dog should be eating while you're away, pay attention if your dog is not eating when you're gone, but will eat when you return.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, this is a concept that I learned about in the magazine, the dog magazine we were reading. And it doesn't exactly apply to us, but I wanted to include this point just because maybe you experience this. If you are out of the house for long hours and you either leave the food for your dog or you have someone come in and they're supposed to feed the dog, if your dog's not eating, that could be a sign, again, that they're struggling with being alone.
Injury. They could be trying to escape from a crate or a pen by clawing or biting, and it could be causing self-harm in the process. So that's a pretty extreme case, but that it would be extreme if they're pushing themselves to that point, but it could totally happen accidentally, right? Adelaide jumps up sometimes. I don't know if she's trying to get over or get our attention, and she could catch her foot sometime and fall, and it could just happen like that.
Well, this is something that I actually heard about a lot before we got Adelaide, warning us not to have a metal crate. And, I mean, knock on wood, fingers crossed, we've been okay. But I've heard that since Italian Greyhounds can easily break their legs, potentially they could get their foot stuck in a metal crate. And also their skin is very thin and sensitive, that they could scrape their skin. So we've not experienced any issues with this, but that was actually one of the warnings I remember reading about before we got Adelaide. And last sign of potential difficulty or struggle with alone time are accidents. I'm just saying broadly accidents because if your pup is potty trained for outside, an accident might be a sign that they're having a difficult time. Or if your pup is trained to go on the pee pads, sometimes if they're feeling upset or for whatever reason. I don't exactly know all these things, like we said, but I've noticed in my experience, both with Adelaide and Maisie, the toy poodle that I used to take care of, Maisie actually would pee off of the pee pad slightly. And sometimes I had a hard time discerning if it was on purpose or not because I would take her for a walk. She would go pee. I was convinced she'd peed probably 3 times in a 10-minute walk. I would come back, leave her in the apartment, go out again, get myself a burrito, come home, and she had peed off of the mat. And I couldn't believe it. I had only just walked her and I thought all the pee out of her system was gone. But I think that was her being upset or maybe her being scared that she was alone. I took it personally, but it might have just been that she was nervous or didn't like that I left her.
Whether it's severe or mild, let's go through some reasons why you should be concerned and what problems might arise. The first is if you live in a condo or apartment, which...
Welcome to our life.
Yeah, if you're always in your apartment. But you might get a noise complaint, and that could, not in Ontario, I looked this up, that not in Ontario, but in BC and in lots of US states could lead to fines. So in Ontario, your condo board can't fine you, but it could be costing you money.
It could cost us money, however, because our condo has the rule that if you have too many noise complaints, you have to soundproof your apartment. You have to pay for whatever it requires
Right.
to
Putting
soundproof
carpet
it.
down or soundproof in the walls or whatever. Well, that would make this apartment sound great for podcasting. Maybe we should just do that.
Oh, Ryan, I think we have our first guest on the podcast.
Oh.
It's a dog in our hallway. Speaking of noise complaints, Adelaide is very excited about this.
I was like, the hell? What's happening? my headphones are more isolating than yours are.
Oh my God.
And also I was speaking, but...
Right. Whether it's a fine or the cost of having to soundproof your apartment, that's annoying. So even if you're just doing it for that reason, I think it's good. Another thing to your apartment or house, you might experience damage either to your furniture, items, just things destroyed around the house, and nobody wants that.
Again, costing money, but could also be something bad because like Adelaide really likes paper. So she could be bored and pull something off the table and rip up a bill or a photograph or who knows what. Like she could be.
Yeah, important documents, sentimental value, or even pulling something off a table. What if there was a glass on that table and it fell on her head? I mean, I'm getting real dramatic here, but you never know.
Your dog, well, yeah. Just our next point is that your dog might hurt themselves. So whether it's overbarking or hurting their voices or starving themselves or doing something that causes harm.
Even if you work from home, your pup might struggle with independence and they might need you at all times. So as a dog walker in my past, I sometimes would walk dogs where their parent was home. And I thought, oh, this is so strange. Why are they paying me to come in and entertain their dog, take them for a walk, take them out, have them socialize with the other dogs? If they're home, they could take them to the park. They could take them for a walk. But working from home, it's going to be very distracting if your dog needs this kind of attention. And especially if you have an Iggy, you know this, Iggy parents out there, they demand your attention. So if your pup is not good with being alone, it might mean they're not good alone even when you're in the room.
If your dog can't handle being alone, it also might be a problem if ever they have to stay overnight at a vet. Whether it's that they are getting spayed and then or neutered and have to stay over, or the vet has something that they need to check out and monitor them for, like a vaccine reaction, like we were talking in our last episode, or
surgery.
Yeah, anything like that where they need to stay over, they need to be able to be alone.
Adelaide's doing a very good job right now of being alone. She's sitting on the couch with us. And I will say she gets very jealous of technology. So when we do record these podcasts, if you've ever watched our videos on YouTube, you'll see that Adelaide is often...
In like the first 5 minutes of the episode, and then she couldn't
floats
stand
away. Who knows where she went?
Yeah.
She went into editing land. She's usually walking around, or we let her have some alone time in the crate.
Yeah.
So just a fun tidbit for today that she's doing really well being alone. The irony.
Shall we do some signs that we've seen with Adelaide? That maybe she is doing a little worse than she used to with being alone?
Adelaide is overall pretty good with being independent and on her own. But we have noticed some signs that she's not okay with being on her own. So first one that it kind of makes me laugh because it's kind of sad and pathetic, but I love you, Adelaide. She gets upset when we leave the apartment and take out the garbage, which I know this sounds really stupid, but it's specifically when we take out the garbage because we're only gone for maybe 20 seconds. It's just out the door to the garbage chute, drop it down the chute, come back to the door, we're home. But in these instances, I don't usually put her in the crate. I don't know about you, Ryan, if you're alone, because it's under a minute. And as long as the apartment is clean and I know that she's not going to get into anything, I think, let's leave her on her own, see what she does. Often she's sleeping or anything. So I know that she cries because the hallway's not too far and I can hear her crying, or she was curled up in a little ball sleeping, and when I return to the door, she's at the door crying and looking a little distressed.
Or if one of us is still in the apartment, she still does this for the person that just left.
Right. She's attached to even just one person leaving.
Right. Neither of you can leave.
Yeah, I need everyone here with me right now.
Yeah.
I'm upset. And it really it's like a whine. Mm-hmm. It's not an Iggy scream.
Or a bark or a howl.
Yeah. For her, it's a little whining cry.
Yeah. And then in the same vein, if we're home and, like we say, if she needs some alone time and we need to be doing something and she's biting at our clothes or she's jumping all over us, and she could be stepping on my computer sometimes when I'm trying to do work on it, then we put her in the pen and she will cry and jump up, and she even licks the lock.
Oh my God.
So she knows that's her ticket to getting out is the lock. So she doesn't know how to open it, but she knows how to lick. She knows that that's the thing.
And in this situation too, she sometimes grabs the pen with her teeth and draws the pen in on herself. She goes to about the second one, and I think she was doing this today when I was in the bathtub.
Oh.
So personal experience from today. And we're going to go into detail about this later, but we've got a new addition and a little bit of a change up to Adelaide's pen situation. We have introduced a doggy bathroom. So we're going to talk about this a lot more very soon. But in this situation, I could hear her pushing and pulling on the edges of the crate. And even though I didn't see her today, I have seen her in the past use her teeth, and she grabs at about her own height. So like the second level of the crate. And like there's bars that go all the way up. It's about just at her head height. And then she pulls with her full body weight and just kind of like draws it in on herself. And I don't know if it's to make sound or if it's to, I don't know, it's just to be defiant.
Right,
She's
might be
bored.
just out of frustration.
Yeah. But I have seen her pull on it. And then it's weird because she's enclosing the pen in on herself and making the space smaller, which I logically don't think she would want to do. But clearly there's something wrong if that's what she's doing. Next up, we've got Adelaide digging up her pee pads after hours of being left alone. So we solved this problem because we use reusable pee pads now. But when we had paper pee pads, she would destroy them. She would rip them up. And we know this because we would leave her for hours, come home, and they're fully destroyed. But now in my experience, I can't even lay down a paper pee pad without her ripping it to shreds. So it's become a toy to her. And I don't think she understands anymore that it's the pee pad to relieve herself on. So definitely a sign that destructive behavior is a sign that she is not happy about being alone.
Again, with potty training, she used to, more than now, but still sometimes will play with her poop. So if she goes and it's there, she will throw it around. Usually doesn't like roll in it or get dirty, but then it will be a little bit messier for us to clean up. And sometimes her breath doesn't smell so great.
She eats it. She totally eats it.
Yeah.
But with us being home now more often because of quarantine, lockdown, I feel like we've become the poop police. And the second she poops, we see it, and we get her out of that crate, pick it up before she has a chance to do anything with it. Lastly here, when we leave Adelaide alone, in the past we have talked about this, but she de-stuffs her bed. She rips a little hole in the bed. Not tons of holes. She'll rip one hole and then just start pulling all of the stuffing out from that one hole. And I've learned this, and maybe you've experienced this too. The material inside is often green. I don't know what it is. But if you've got any of the beds that we've had her destroy, they've got green insides. How strange.
We talked about this on the Iggy Starter Kit episode, that beds didn't work for us. And we said maybe 5 or 6, but have since remembered 1 or 2 more beds.
Yeah, so my initial guess was 10 beds that she's destroyed, and I'm pretty sure we're close to it. But maybe it's the Price is Right rules if we're above or below, you know?
Yeah, I win.
Yeah, until we remember how many beds. They keep popping up on our memories from a year ago.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm like, hey, babe, there's another bed. That's another bed to add to the list that she's destroyed. Primarily, she destroys them by de-stuffing them, which again I tried to keep up with by stitching holes, but it's too much. And then I think a couple of the beds she ruined with poop.
Shall we talk about what we can do to battle this?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So we're going to dive into our top 5 tips for Iggy alone time.
Number 1, practice leaving. No big deal. I'll be back.
Like the Terminator. Okay, maybe not like the Terminator.
I know that line is like said so menacingly.
I'll be
and
back.
I was just like, don't worry, I'll be back. Can you imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger, sunglasses on? I'll be back. I'll see you soon.
I love you, baby.
Bye.
I'll be back.
Okay, so dogs can pick up on the cues that are telling them that you're going to be leaving. So whether it's the sound of your keys or the doorknob, or if you're putting your shoes on, every time we do these things, the dog quickly learns that that means you're leaving and that they need to stress out about it.
Yeah, and it's visual cues, sound cues, like anything that signals to them you're about to leave.
So instead, what you can do is practice a false exit, where you do all these things. You get your keys, you put your shoes on, you start to open the door, and then you don't leave. And then they're like, oh, they were just doing a random series of events. It didn't lead to me being left alone for hours.
This way, your dog's going to learn that not every time you grab the keys or put on your coat, put on your shoes, you're going to be gone forever. It breaks that association.
And you can do the same sort of thing at the dog park, that if you call them over, and we learned this, that we need to work on being able to grab her collar. So call her over, hold on to the collar for a second, and then let her go. Or treat her, grab the collar, let her go. And then she can go back and play with her friends. So she doesn't then associate you calling her with, oh no, play fun time is over.
And also grabbing the collar, of course, they're dainty. They're itty bitty Iggies. So grabbing the collar for us in the beginning isn't just like grabbing it with your fist. we put just 2 fingers on her collar. We worked on
I
this
put
in,
like
in
one
puppy
finger
school.
through the leash attachment hole, just like, oh, I've got a hold of her here, and like she's not strong enough to pull away. But yeah, it's not about like grabbing them. It's just that you can be able to touch them, and then it's easy to put the leash on when you do need to.
Right, like even just the contact gets them used to, like even just a pat on the back, a little pet on the back. We practice that as well in dog school.
But then back to the leaving, if you then go through all these things and can leave and just stand outside the door for 30 seconds and come back in, then this is, again, getting them used to what it's like for you to leave and that it's not always a horrible thing. And the other thing that you can do is wait for them to be quiet. So you don't want the you coming back to be a reward for the crying.
Just like crate training.
Yeah.
We're going to have a whole episode about crate training, of course, hot topic issue. But this is kind of a very blurred lines episode. Alone time and crate time is also connected.
Right. So part of, or one of the steps that you might want to take is put them in the pen or the crate. Like we were saying, she's different when we leave her and she has full reign of the apartment versus going in the pen. So you want to set up the circumstances just how it's going to be when you do leave for work or an activity or something.
Right. And if you keep practicing it incrementally, then your dog's going to get used to you leaving and it not being the end of the world.
Right. So what we did in the beginning, we followed the rule of your dog can stand to be alone for as many hours as they are months old, which is a way, like we were saying, to do this incrementally. And now we're pretty confident that we can leave her for a few hours, or up to 8 hours is the recommended amount.
I feel like up to 5 hours for us, and
Yeah.
she's confidently alone.
But again, all of this has kind of reset during quarantine where we're home all the time
Right.
with her.
And I was reading as well that if the crate training is difficult and if even building up this alone time by leaving for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 1 hour, 2 hour, if it's too difficult, you can start even as early as practicing stay. So build up stamina and continue stay, but head out of sight. So practicing stay, but then leave, not the room, but just be out of sight of your dog. So that's not doing all of the rituals of leaving. It's not the keys, the shoes, the coat. It's just being out of sight. And if you can practice that, that might help you to build up stamina to get to that next step of the rituals, which then would get you to the next step of leaving out the door.
I like a lot of these dog training philosophies are breaking it down to even smaller pieces than you would expect, right? What's the difference between, or how on earth is stepping around the corner the first step to being able to go to work with your dog being fine? But it's these small progress steps that get to where you're going.
Right. And if you're practicing stay out of sight, when you reappear, that's when you release them from their stay. It teaches them that you will return and that they don't have to come and search for you. So that's what I love, that often we have stay and then, oh, come here. But if you're going to use stay as a practice for leaving and alone time, practice instead out of sight and then return. And that's when they get to leave their stay. I've got a little anecdote about my Jack Russell Terrier, Chloe, growing up. First of all, if you've never had a Jack Russell Terrier, we read in a book somewhere that they bark at the presence of air. So I remember we read it in a book, and that's the number one thing I learned about this breed, about our dog, and they just bark. And it's not even a menacing, like stressed out bark or anything. I think they just like the sound of their own voice. So I think a Jack Russell Terrier would do so well with a podcast.
Yes.
But she was not afraid to tell you how she felt with her barking. She barked often and sometimes for no reason. But I have a very clear memory that she always barked when we left the house. We would try our best to make our exit as quiet as possible. I remember as a kid, we would like make sure the keys weren't jingling and okay, everybody put on your coats. Like we would be sitting on the couch and sort of look at each other and nod and, make the signals like time to go without actually saying any of those words because the dog knew. The dog knew the word squirrel. The dog knew the word walk, and even just verbal cues. If we said like, okay, let's go, the dog would bolt for the door and start barking. I now realize that this has something to do with the alone time. I didn't know that my dog was barking because she was upset we were leaving or because she was afraid of being alone. So if I look back on that experience, I think I would change my behavior, and instead of trying to hide that we were leaving, I would have done this instead. Practicing ahead of time, practicing the rituals of putting on the keys and making it no big deal. I think it would have worked better for her over time. But who knows? Like I said, they like to bark at the presence of air, and she's just a very vocal gal. Next up, practice arriving. No big deal. Again, just like crate training, you don't want to make a big deal out of your return. I'm guilty of this in the mornings when Adelaide is so excited to see me. If I'm the last one out of bed, she'll come to the door and I get so excited and I greet her and I kind of expect a little party when I come in. Bad, Jess. Bad idea. It's just solidifying the return is exciting, which means that the alone time before the return is not exciting. If they're in a crate, don't release them or greet them if they're crying or barking. Wait until they have calmed a bit. You could ask for a sit or wait for eye contact. I often ask for a sit from Adelaide. If they associate this behavior with being released from their crate, they will most likely continue to do it.
Okay, now let's talk about destructive behavior. When your pup destroys something, it might be a sign that they are bored or that they are not mentally stimulated enough or physically exercised enough. By giving them opportunities to physically exert themselves before you leave and mentally challenge themselves, they will tire more easily and perhaps find more peace in alone time. Pay attention to the age and breed of your pup and ask yourself if they're really getting the cardio exercise as well as mental stimulation they need. Exercise can be something like a walk or a run or a game of tug or fetch. And mental stimulation is something that they can... Hi. She just came over to see me. Mental stimulation can be something like a puzzle, which doesn't have to be fancy or expensive. It can be something as simple as an egg carton with tennis balls and treats in it, or we've seen someone make some puzzles out of toilet paper rolls and tissue paper and put treats in there, and they can rip it up and try and find it. So these can be ways for your dog to stimulate themselves, and then this is like when I was young and we would go on family vacations. Mom always referred to when you sleep in the car, right? When you're the passenger and you get to sleep, it's time travel. So your dog can time travel to when you get back home.
Other toys that are good for this are snuffle mats, treat dispensing toys, or like we said, puzzle games, whether that's purchased or created at home. Another thing for mental stimulation, choose. Adelaide right now is getting through this podcast episode without us having to entertain her because she's got a bully stick. So sometimes chew toys can be time-consuming, mentally stimulating, exciting, and something to focus their energy.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that we have, hi dog, that we have not failed at, but maybe not put as much attention on, is keeping the chews for her exciting right? We just kind of leave them out. It's like, oh, whenever she wants to grab them, she will, and she'll chew on them. But I feel like now she's gotten used to, oh, I get a new chew, and that's exciting.
Yeah, we need to be more disciplined about hiding the chews and then bringing them back out.
Uh-huh.
Or giving her different kinds of chews.
Yep, we can alternate what kinds we've got. So we just got her some smaller ones from PetSmart, but maybe they won't last as long as the other ones will. And if we do that kind of thing, we can change up what kind of chew she has more often.
Next up, number 4, food-related toys. So kind of in the same vein as the last one. Stuffed, puzzle, or slow feeding toys. You can practice using stuffed Kongs or treat dispensing toys to feed all meals to make them more exciting than a bowl. So even not related to Iggy alone time, if you practice using these kinds of food-related toys, it's going to get them more used to it, and it's going to be exciting. And then when you use it as a tool for Iggy alone time, they'll be more used to it. A slow-feeding toy like a LickiMat is great to distract your pup as well when you're leaving. Also, it's good to time when you give the LickiMat. I find that so many times I'm not actually ready to leave. I give her the LickiMat, and then we're still getting ready to leave. So make sure you're ready to head out that door. Then you can give the treat and then leave.
So I think for Adelaide, we have not fed her in the pen, but I remember this from the Training the Best Dog Ever book, that one of their first steps for you is to hand feed the dog. That teaches them that the food comes from you. And then it's this positive association of like, oh, I get food. I get hungry. I like food. I like this person. You can sort of do the same thing with the crate. That if you only ever feed them when they go in the crate, then they like going in there more and like good things happen. For us, we've used greenies as like the big reward for going to bed. So she very excitedly gets into bed when we ask her to, but then when the greenie's done, she wants back out. Again,
more often than not.
Yeah, again, if we're here still, if we mistimed it, or if it's a time when we're trying to put her in the pen and we're trying to have dinner or something else. So this again, keeping us accountable might be worth it to look into things that might occupy her for longer.
Right. Other things as well could be frozen treats. So if you have a Kong and you freeze it, it takes them longer because the food inside the Kong has to thaw a bit for them to be able to really get into it.
Yeah, we haven't tried that with freeze-dried.
Right. We should really try that.
We've tried it with the kibble, but she's never been super excited about kibble, but she's been very excited about freeze-dried. So that would be rehydrating it and then freezing it. I think we could try that.
Yeah.
But we would have to get a full-size one. We still only have the puppy-sized Kong for her. So
yeah, we need to get on that.
I think that would be good for us to try.
Also, another helpful way to slow down the eating of a treat is using peanut butter. Making sure it doesn't have xylitol in it, because that is toxic to dogs. So make sure you check the ingredients. Sometimes peanut butter has xylitol in it. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Mm-hmm. But just something to look out for. Last tip, Brian.
Use old clothes or blankets. If your pup is coming home for the first time from a breeder or home with other dogs, it might be that your pup misses being around their litter mates. If you can manage to get an old blanket or article of clothing that might smell like your pup's litter mates, housemates, or their mom, place the blanket or article of clothing in the crate with them. And this can then relieve some of that anxiety around being alone. And then the other thing that was suggested to us is getting a Snuggle Puppy. So this can be getting the blanket or the clothes can be for the smell aspect of it, but then a Snuggle Puppy has a mechanism for a beating heart. It's like a little stuffed toy, and it can have a heating pad in it as well. So this can, again, simulate what it was like where they came from. And if you go to the Iggy Starter Kit, which we've linked in the show notes, then we've got the link where you can get that. And it really worked for her for maybe the first week or so until she thought that it was a toy, and then it wasn't so much. But it got her through the first initial hump. So if your pup adjusted well to living alone, if you followed these steps when they first came home, but now they're struggling with being away from you, you can follow these same kind of steps. Have a piece of clothing or a blanket that smells like you. And this can also help with dog boarding or babysitting, or maybe even if they're at the vet.
As Iggy parents, we always try our best to be with Adelaide as much as we can. But there are times where we can't always be with her 24/7.
Rover is a pet sitting service that helps connect pet parents with trusted sitters and dog walkers that treat your pet like family.
Their service ranges from drop-in visits to dog walking and even boarding. They provide lots of options, including both house sitting in your home or boarding in the sitter's home. So whether your pup needs walking while you're at work or you're traveling for a longer period of time, Rover's got you covered.
Rover cares about the safety of your pets. All new sitters pass a basic background check.
All sitters provide a detailed profile and personal information. And all sitters are approved by a team of sitter specialists.
All services booked on Rover are backed by the Rover Guarantee, 24/7 Rover Support, photo updates, and reservation protection.
Each sitter has a profile where you can read verified reviews and see if they have repeat clients. Rover makes it easy for you to pick the perfect sitter for your pet. Booking and paying are convenient all through the app or website.
And with our link, you get $10 off your first booking. You can use the link in the show notes to create your account and find a 5-star pet sitter from Rover today.
So just to review, top 5 tips for Iggy alone time. 1. Practice leaving. No big deal. I'll be back.
Number 2, practice arriving. No big deal. I'm back, but it's not any better than when I was away.
Exactly. 3. Physical exercise and mental stimulation. Make sure you're getting your cardio. Make sure you're getting your puzzles.
Number 4, food-related toys that can be slow feeding to occupy them and to have a positive association with being in the crate and being alone.
Number 5, use old clothes or blankets, whether that's from you or from your dog's family.
Okay.
I've got one more tip to add.
Of course.
Always.
We have top 5 tips blog posts, and we can like be dedicated and edit it down when it's a blog post, but when we're talking, we can't. We got to keep going.
We can't.
There's
I got to
always
tell
more.
you the story.
But this is great because it was actually feedback from the blog post, right? Or from
tips. It's from a conversation.
Oh, just from a conversation, but it came from a friend.
A
So,
real
you tell.
experience. Yeah, so this last tip is coming from Bambi, the Italian Greyhound.
Thanks, Bambi.
Thank you, Bambi. I wanted to add this because we didn't even think of it, but we're going to try this. If we have to leave Adelaide for a while, I've got a really great idea for this one. A tactic we've been recommended by friends is to listen to podcasts. I swear this isn't just a plug for our podcast, but Bambi has been struggling with alone time, and her mom plays podcasts while she's away. It reminds me of how we used to leave the TV on for my family dog, Chloe. I also used to walk dogs, and sometimes their parents would leave the TV on for them, and I was instructed to leave the TV on because sometimes just that background noise of a podcast or a TV helps the dog to cope with this alone time. So if we were to leave something on for Adelaide, I imagine that the videos of Italian Greyhounds on YouTube would probably be the perfect choice. But I wonder if our podcast would actually work because it's the sound of us talking. There's the extra tip from Bambi.
I'm also going to say this is something that we've talked about doing, and I think we should do it. We should record a video of going out on a walk with Adelaide.
Oh.
And put it on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And then that could be like, put this on for while the dog is away. Or for while you're away, while your dog is alone.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So I'm thinking like half-hour walk or something.
Yeah.
Could have the camera and I could just walk in front.
I think...
I'm trying to make us accountable here.
Yeah.
Say it on the podcast so that we do it.
I was going to say we should be accountable as well. This is accountability time. This should be a series of the podcast. But we need to be accountable because we are transitioning or expanding's the word, to have a presence on YouTube. So we're going to be uploading all of our Tip Tuesdays, or formerly Training Tuesdays.
Right. So we already have been uploading all the podcast episodes, but now we want to upload videos that will just kind of live on YouTube or are made for YouTube.
Yeah, so our IGTV videos that have been on Adelaide's Instagram are now going to be put up onto our YouTube, and we are, fingers crossed, hoping soon to start vlogging. So all of the things that you learn on our blogs and that we talk about on our Instagram, we're just looking to use YouTube as another storytelling tool. Pupdates?
Pupdates.
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 Pupdates. How many times can you say pupdates? Okay, so this week was very exciting. And Adelaide is getting excited with me. Okay. So this week was very exciting. We, for the very first time, got to look after another Iggy Atlas. So if you saw on Instagram, we were babysitting or dog sitting Atlas for the day, which is Adelaide's half brother. This is because Atlas's mom and dad got married.
How nice.
So very exciting for the humans. We decided in honor of their wedding to host an Iggy wedding. So thank you to Atlas for participating in this ceremony that obviously is not legal because they're half brother and half sister.
I know. I was like, you led off with the thing that we weren't going to tell people.
No, we're going to tell people about the wedding. And thanks to Ghost for being the flower girl. That's Adelaide's cousin, Ghost. So we had a little Iggy wedding. It was very dramatic because we got rained out and then hailed out. There were hail balls. I don't know. What size was that?
I don't know, like maybe a centimeter, like quarter of an inch.
They're big.
Yeah.
They're bigger than pepper. It's like a piece of pepper that you grind,
Yep.
Coarse pepper. It was bigger than that. It was like 5 peppercorns. And it actually was quite painful. So I'm glad that we were running to the car when the hail started.
What else do we have?
Pupdates?
Yeah.
Doggy bathroom.
Doggy bathroom. Yeah, you started to talk about it, but
She's chewing my engagement ring.
but I think it's going to be a really nice addition to her pen setup.
Yeah, the doggy bathroom. So, of course, the doggy bathroom showed up, and we were so preoccupied with our day with Atlas that we didn't pick it up from the concierge. But it would have been perfect for Atlas because the doggy bathroom is this... people have called it like a litter box for dogs, but it's a plastic formed structure where you can lay a pee pad, and for boys, you can even put the pee pads vertically. So if they lift their leg to pee, you are covered. They are peeing on the pee pad. There's no stress, and it's actually very sleek looking. And full disclosure, we're doing a photo shoot soon, where Adelaide is going to be featured as a model for the doggy bathroom. So, of course, there's going to be a little bit of a bias of a relationship there, but so far so good with the doggy bathroom. And there was one accident.
So she couldn't bring herself to get in. Jess was trying to work with her by putting treats into the doggy bathroom, but she would kind of hop in, get the treat, hop right back out. I don't know if it's the walls that are intimidating to her or
yeah,
what.
It's confusing as well because she really does like privacy when she pees or poops. It's something that I've always noticed about her, and we've said it before in our tips for raising an Iggy. But I think there was something about the walls that were intimidating, maybe because they're not, like, they're opaque. You can't see through them. But I started off by basically dropping a treat in the pen. I started by dropping a treat in the doggy bathroom, and she would just lean in with her nose and maybe 2 paws. So eventually I was able to keep dropping the treats further back into the doggy bathroom. I got her to put all 4 paws in the doggy bathroom, but then she would run out. She'd bolt out of there. So it took a while, but I kept dropping the treats in to the point where I could lead her with a treat, not drop the treat, have her accept the treat from the doggy bathroom, and then exit the bathroom. I think it built up her courage to go inside. I could tell she was giving all the signs that she really needed to pee, but her first attempt, she peed on her bed that is covered in blankets. So I was able to pick her up. It was a flashback to when she was a puppy. I picked her up while she was squatting, put her on her pee pad inside the doggy bathroom, and she finished the pee out there. But we had to wash the bed.
It was kind of like a flashback. It was like learning how to do it all over again. But
yeah.
Then we woke up this morning and she had gone in the doggy bathroom. So I guess she just needed the scent to entice her to get over her initial hesitations.
Yeah, I think that the scent of the pee helps and reminds her that is a pee pad that she's used to peeing on.
Yep, right. These are also somewhat new pee pads. We got them, I think, last week that they came. She's also learning how to use those pee pads. The other ones they were losing their absorbency.
Yeah, something that we've noticed over time. But we've had them for a year, so...
Right, they served us well.
And the doggy bathroom did come with disposable pee pads. We're not courageous enough yet to try them just because of Adelaide's history of digging up pee pads, but not something I'm opposed to trying because these pee pads are designed to entice your dog to pee on them. I don't know how they do that, but there's some sort of scent that they put on it, material. I don't know what they do, but it is advertised that it's enticing to pee on. We'll get back to you with updated information if Adelaide likes the bathroom or not. It definitely makes her crate look very stylish.
I know, we like it. It's going to make it way easier to put the pee pads down because we were putting them down and then kind of lifting up the crate and flattening out the thing. It's going to be annoying. Way easier because it comes with clips and we just like put it up half on one side and I hope that it works.
Yeah, our method before was very cumbersome to have to pull the pee pad out every time. Also, she would drag her blankets into her pee pads.
Right, yeah.
So, fingers crossed, doggy bathroom, I think you're the answer to our prayers, but time will tell.
I know that the only problem is now, because the doggy bathroom looks so sleek, it's making me want to get a new bed. Because the bed is like, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches too wide, so it kind of pushes out the side of the crate. So now I'm like, why can't we get a 2-foot wide bed and then everything would be nice and sleek and straight and nice.
We just want the best for you, Adelaide. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Iggy Parents. You can follow us on Instagram at The Iggy Parents.
Or find us on YouTube, search for The Iggy Parents, and you'll find us.
This podcast is available where all podcasts are found. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye from Ryan.
And Jess.
And Adelaide.
The Iggy.